Hey folks, you know, this time of year, one of the favorite things to do is to grab a cup of coffee in the morning and wander on over to the West 4. That's 4 square feet, that is. I like to go over and check on my crops on the winter tabletop herb garden that we get going. Let's see, this year we got it going on the 7th of October, and we've now added another garden plot over here, so we're getting going on that. So I've done these before, I've shown you how I do this, but just thought I'd give you a little refresher. So I'll take you on over, we can mosey on over and take a look at the West 4 over here, and I'll show you what we're growing. Now I actually might be able to see this a little better if I shut the grow lights off, but what we have going here are, there's a flat parsley, basil, and cilantro. And over here is a planter filled with leaf lettuce that we've already harvested. We've gotten the first harvest, so now we're going to get a second cutting from it. There are two things that are required for us to have a successful herb garden like this. One is artificial lighting. We're just not going to get it here in northern Minnesota in the dead of winter. But these are our Happy Leaf 3-foot grow lights. We have 2 of them, and we just love them. They are so good for our plants. This is the third, gosh, I don't remember. I think the third season that we've used them. They're on a timer. I always know, I lay in bed, I always know it's time to get up and get the coffee pot going when I see that glow of light coming, because they flip on at 5:30 in the morning. So that's the first thing. We could not do them without a nice, good quality LED grow light like these with very low wattage usage and very reliable, very productive. And I just made my own stands for them. The other thing we need, though, is supplemental nutrition. Now, the potting mix that we use has some. And if we were growing microgreens for 10 days or 2 weeks, they'd be fine. You wouldn't need supplemental nutrition. But since we're growing herbs for months, we'll be snipping and harvesting these until spring. And I'm starting a second planting, but these will go for months. And we just keep harvesting the top leaves, and they just keep coming back, and they use up all the nutrients in the potting mix. So we provide them with a supplemental, basically a hydroponic solution, which is what we water them with, through our fill cups. Pretty slick way to go. I'm going to plant one more planting of flat parsley over here, because it takes a while for it to get established, and this one might start getting a little sad looking in a couple months, and we want to have a continuous supply because there is absolutely nothing like fresh herbs in the middle of the winter. It's absolutely fresh as you can possibly get. So I'll show you how I do it. This is the setup that we came up with that's really been reliable for us. And it's an 18-inch planter with an insert that makes it self-watering. This is what they look like when they're new. A nice new clean insert, which of course this one isn't. This one's probably been used dozens of times, but I've yet to throw one out. They keep working, and just rinse them off with hot water. So that goes in the bottom, makes a V shape, and then there are air holes on each end of the planter just below the peak. And then on the one end is a grommet with tubing, 1/4-inch tubing that connects to a cup with another grommet, and that's our filling cup. We have a little cap for that so we don't get algae growth in the cup. So that's the setup. And then there's a cover that goes on once we plant it, then our seed bed is covered until the seeds germinate. So I'm going to add, we bag up, I think this is, I've forgotten it, I don't know, so I think it's probably four quarts or so of potting mix. And we're going to fill the planter with that, add about 2 quarts of water to hydrate the potting mix, but not oversaturate it. And then we'll plant our seeds. I got it filled with the potting mix, and I put about 2 quarts of water into it to hydrate that very dry, bone-dry potting mix. And then I just spritz the surface with water to further moisten it. And then I'm just going to shake. I used to try to get about 1 seed per inch, like completely gave up on that idea. And I just shake to cover the surface, not, too densely. But they can grow pretty close together. I think closer together than most people realize, at least for these purposes. So that should be pretty good coverage of parsley seeds. And I'm just going to give them all another spritz. And then I don't cover these with any more potting mix. For cilantro I do, because they germinate slowly over a longer period of time. They don't all pop at once. The parsley tends to, once they start going, they go. So I just leave them lay right on the surface. I don't cover them with any potting mix, but I do cover them with the cover. And that will stay on until they start to germinate. And then once I see the first ones going, the seeds getting little tails and those roots starting to burrow down, then I uncover it so they don't smother, and away they go. I have very good germination success. So this one is basil that I planted, I think, on November 10th. It's now the 29th of November, so those have been going for a while. This morning I just uncovered the cilantro because I saw the first one pop up. And once the first one pops up, I know that there are a lot of others that aren't far behind, and I don't want them to smother. So I'll show you the fertilizer that I use. We mix up, we buy a good quality hydroponic fertilizer, and then we also buy calcium nitrate. So it's a 2-part deal. I package them up in little packages that you have a part A and a part B, and we include little lids that are labeled, and you have to supply your own canning jar, but just a quart canning jar. The entire package of the fertilizer goes into one. We add some Epsom salt, some magnesium sulfate to it too. So that gets dissolved in one container, and then the calcium nitrate then gets dissolved into the other. So then to mix up nutrient solution for our garden, I use old vinegar bottles that are good and sturdy, and I have 3 of them. I like to mix up 3 gallons at a time, and all I do is put 1 tablespoon of part A and part B into each of the gallon jugs and fill them up with a gallon of water. Mix them up, set them under the table, and that gets us several weeks of watering. And it's quick and easy. This little fertilizer kit right here makes enough for 64 gallons of water, so it's a pretty economical way to really grow a nice healthy crop of herbs and greens. The lettuce, we do a little bit. We get, I said, 2 cuttings out of that, and I mow it down completely, bag it up, and then we'll get a second cutting. So it's not probably the most effective use of our time and space, but it's kind of fun to have absolutely fresh lettuce along with our greens. But the basil, cilantro, and parsley we would not be without. We just had pizza last night, so I covered the whole pizza with basil, fresh snipped. Cilantro, again, you know, any Tex-Mex dishes. I'm going to be making chili this week. It's great for that. And the parsley we add to our smoothies every morning. So I just wander over and take the scissors and snip off the tops of a good handful of parsley. And it just keeps coming back. So until next spring, we can get back outside. This is a heck of a way to garden. So this is Mark again with Backwood Basics. Let's grow indoors together.